Alright, Shalom. Before I begin this lesson, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakodash. Alright, double honors to our elders and apostles of GMS Great Millstone that rule well and taught us this truth. Salutations to the hopeful elect, Yahweh Shai's elect, preaching his word and his doctrine in full truth, honesty, and sincerity. I am the brother Hakam from the Great Millstone Miami camp, coming back once again through the Spirit to make this video and this lesson, and Lord willing, it be edifying. And I think I'm going to title this video, America is about to economically crash out. Alright, or America is going to crash out economically. Alright, because there is a lot of shift in the real estate market going on right now, which we know that's one of the first signs of a waning economy. And we know that based off the 2008 recession, how everything was initiated. With the first signs that we saw of the economy just going down to trash was the real estate market. All right, the housing market. There was a crash. All right, houses started going down in price, and everybody's homes went on foreclosure. Well, not everybody's, but a lot of homes went on foreclosure. Okay, and that is happening right now as we speak. Okay, because we have been experiencing the last couple of years something called a housing boom, especially after 2020, but that boom is now down. All right, the boom is not booming anymore. Okay, and this is one of the first signs that what we're witnessing is a economy that is collapsing. All right, which is Babylon the Great. All right, but I got a couple articles over here. This is from TampaBay.com. Florida's pandemic housing boom is over. Are we headed toward a crash? All right, inventory is up, prices are down, but buyers still aren't biting. Okay, so that is the title of one video, and Florida is a sign. All eyes should be on Florida as far as the real estate market goes. Right now, all the experts are talking about the Florida real estate market right now. All these real estate gurus, they're saying that the pandemic, the boom that happened in 2020, all right, it's come to a halt. All right, because back then, we remember in 2020, Florida was the only state that was actually operating, while the other states have had their people completely locked in. All right, there was something called the lockdown, but Florida, all right, they was operating a little bit more freely. They had more restaurants that were open. The mask mandates weren't as harsh as, let's say, states like New York and California, such as. All right, so what that was an alluring factor to real estate investors, and especially people that live outside the state. Okay, you had a lot of these snow bunnies that they call them, all right, or a lot of these transplants that come from New York and Canada that came to live over here in Florida. And what did they do? All right, they bought houses. They invested real estate in Florida, especially over here in Miami, to make money off housing and to live a more freely lifestyle. Okay, and that's when you had the Airbnb boom as well. All right, that's when everything got very extremely expensive. Houses that were at 1.150, they boomed to the 300s. Houses that were in the 200s, they went up to the 400s. So what we're seeing now is that these houses that were locked in at a price that were about $150,000 above what the actual market value is supposed to be, okay, those houses are now going down in price because all the traffic that was coming from other states, it's coming to a halt. All right, so everybody is trying to sell their homes in Florida. This is another article. This is from TampaBay.com again. This is from TampaBay.com again. Florida housing market sees new high with 172,000 homes listed for sale. So this is the first time ever since, I believe, 2008, in which there has been so much inventory like never before. All right, and that is a sign that there's about to be an economic crash. All right, because again, these homes, they were locked in for prices that were far above than what the actual market was supposed to be. So a lot of these homeowners, they're about to lose equity. Not trying to get into those technicalities and such, but all these homes that were valued at this price, all right, these homeowners, they want to sell their homes because everything is getting too expensive. Everything is from rent to mortgages, and the cost of living is way higher now. All right, due to especially the tariffs that have been implemented by DJ Trump. So, these individuals, these real estate investors, they're feeling the pinch, and they're trying to sell their homes, but no one is buying because they locked in those homes in the 2020 time at an astronomical price. So the only outcome for this to be is these houses to go down in value. The housing market is gonna crash, and we're back again into the foreclosure era, just like 2008, in which that time was a recession. All right, which America is already in a recession, but it's going to get worse, man. Which I'm gonna get some precepts right now, because this is going to lead to prophecy. All right, just how the scripture says. This is one more article real quick, and I'm going to get some scriptures. Dailymail.co.uk. Homeowners rush to sell properties on Pictures Island as their vacation rental dreams turn to nightmare. All right, so a lot of these Airbnbers and a lot of these other investors that invested in these properties to make money, they're rushing now to sell them. All right, because they're making nothing now because there's no tourism in Florida anymore. All right, there's not all these transplants that were living in Florida. They're all leaving in droves. I believe there was an article that said that there's 1,000 people being migrating to Florida per day when it was the time of the 2020 pandemic. All right, and all these individuals, they're leaving in droves. I believe there's also an article that tourism in Disney World and Universal and all these attraction theme parks are at an all-time low, to the point where Disney is starting to give out passes now at prices never before seen. Okay, so we're currently seeing the times that we're in, and this is all eventually gonna fulfill prophecy. All right, for ultimately what the MOTB, the RFID microchip, man, because the economy has to crash. Real quick, just want to read something from this article that I just brought out. It says homeowners who dreamed of making extra cash by renting out a vacation property in a stunning coastal city are now flocking to sell. Buyers were initially drawn to Galveston during the C-19 pandemic. See that? Taking advantage to work from home orders to buy themselves a house near the beach that they could escape to, according to Galveston Daily News. All right, so a lot of these areas and a lot of these alluring and attractive areas in Florida that were once a vacation spot for individuals has now become something unrealistic. And what's the chain of events that's happening is they're trying to sell these properties, but no one's buying them. Okay, the article I read before is that all these houses are up for sale, but nobody's buying, which is going to lead to a Florida home crash, which that is going to trickle down to the rest of Babylon. But since all the money was invested in Florida, all right, all eyes are on Florida right now. Okay, which this is an omen of what's going to happen to the rest of Babylon, America. All right, this is to the scriptures. All right, Second Ezra. I'll start at 2 Ezra chapter 16, verse 21. Behold, victuals shall be so good, cheap upon earth, that they shall think themselves to be in a good case. Even then shall evils grow upon